Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? I hope you're well. This is the second of the Recruiting Gym's daily stand-ups. Why are we here today? Well, the world is working from home. The world is also in the process of sort of potentially, maybe melting down. And what that means is that we've got tens of thousands of recruiters across the UK and the world that are working from home. And that would be fine in good times because they'd be busy speaking to candidates, busy speaking to clients, and everyone would probably be able to make money. Didn't put my phone on silent, did I? And everyone would be fine because they're making money. The challenge is that there's tens of thousands of recruiters sitting at home, nervous about their ability to make placements, speaking to candidates and clients that maybe thinking recruitment is the last priority on their mind right now, but also knowing that maybe their own job may be insecure. And that's not really a recipe for good mental health. As Claire Davis, the Recruiting Gym's mental health coach, says, sort of loneliness and stress are two of the biggest catalysts for mental health issues. So the stand-up is really there to help recruiters have one thing to focus on in the day that they can control and feel good about. And that's really what this is all about. How can we, together as an industry, be there for ourselves, but also be there for our candidates and clients as well? So today's stand-up, we're going to be focusing on candidates. Now, you might be thinking, well, surely I just want to know whether my clients are recruiting. And that's true. Watch yesterday's stand-up if you want the 2 or 3 questions that you should be asking. Today, we're going to be focusing on candidates because just as you might be feeling nervous and insecure about your job and your sort of career, etc., your candidates are feeling exactly the same. And what we've got to remember is that, like, yes, we want to make placements today, but part of being part of your market, if you call yourself a specialist in your market, it's about being there for your specialist community when hard times hit. Why is these startups open to a lot of the industry for no charge? Well, it's about me giving back to the community. What are you giving back to the community that you work with on a day-to-day basis? And so we have a responsibility to the candidates that we know, the candidates that we don't know, to basically reassure them that the market will bounce back. We don't know how, we don't know when, but we want to let them know we haven't forgotten about them. We want to let them know that you are there to help them with advice, whether it be CV writing advice, whether it be salary advice, whether it be job search advice, if that comes to fruition. There's also the opportunity to gain market intelligence. One of the business development activities that we'll be talking about in future stand-ups is trying to assess the impact of this period now on the longer term sort of functionality of a business. How is it going to impact their success? How is it going to impact change programs? How is it going to impact employment? We won't have definitive answers now, but we'll begin to get a feeling from the individuals we speak to about sort of how things are sort of sitting within organizations. And also, the more senior the individual we speak to, the more insight we're going to get as to how this is going to impact the business on a long-term basis. So let's think about what we're going to do. Now, you might be wondering, Alex, why are you only going to give me 2 or 3 questions to ask for the day? Well, the reason I'm giving you 2 or 3 questions is that we can't control whether candidates are looking for a job. We can't influence whether candidates will be looking for a job. So we've just got to sort of accept it for what it is. But what we can control is the attitude with which we approach our day-to-day activities. And so by me giving you 2 or 3 questions to speak to candidates about, what we're doing is we're giving ourselves something we can control. If we can put down the phone at the end of the day and feel we have touched and reached out to a number of people in our network, then we can feel like we're doing something to sustain our business in the future. If we get to the end of the day and we just feel like we're still a passenger in this sort of tornado, it's going to be emotionally very stressful. So we're just going to give you one thing to focus on through the day. Now, if clients want to book interviews, that's totally cool. But we want to get to the end of the day where whatever happens in the market, we know we've done our best to engage with our market and begin the process of rebuilding and sustaining our business for the future. So let's think about the three questions that we want to ask. Now, the questions may be slightly different dependent upon the type of candidate that you've got. So the first type of candidate that you've got is temp candidates or contract candidates that are working for you on assignment at the moment. And we've got a really important message for them to basically let them know we are speaking to their line managers and we are tracking when they can go back to work or what the work expectations are. And when I speak to contract recruiters, a lot of their work at the moment is speaking to line managers, finding out what the work expectations are, speaking to the candidates, making sure they're in a position to deliver on those expectations. If you've got candidates that technically are working for you, but the work has been suspended, it's really important that you remind them that you haven't forgotten about them. The fact that you're speaking to the clients on a day-to-day basis. And so the first question you just want to ask is, how are you doing? Sounds like an open question, right? But just how are you doing? And empathize with them about their situation. When you're speaking to contract candidates, obviously there was news about IR35 today, that it's been suspended for another 12 months. My view is I don't think that will necessarily make much difference, in that I think companies have taken a blanket approach already. I don't think they'll unwind that only to have to go through the pain again next year. But it may reduce some of the challenges that we've got within the business. But again, what we want to do is, if we've got temp or contract candidates, what we want to be doing is asking these three questions. The first one is, how are you doing? How are you finding things at the moment? And it's really important that we just, from a pastoral perspective, check they're doing okay. The second one is, what's your view on how this is going to impact the contract market? We don't have perfect knowledge of the market ourselves. The only way we get insight as a recruiter is if we speak to lots of people, we learn and are able to consolidate that information and then disseminate it. So speaking to your temps and contractors and going, how do you think this is going to impact the temp and contract market? How is it going to impact your role within the organizations that you've been working in recently? It may be you've got candidates that are contract and temp candidates that are still working for competitors. I know a lot of you will have a list of competitor candidates that you track on a day-to-day basis. This is a perfect time to call them and go, how are you doing? Are you okay? Is your contract still going to continue? And you hope it does, right? Because we don't want 5,000 candidates looking for jobs overnight. We can't help them all. What we want to do is position ourselves that if what they're doing doesn't work out, they give us a shout. So let's remind. First question, how are you doing? Second question, how is this impacting the contract roles that you're in at the moment? Third question, how is it going to impact your industry or the business you're working in long term? Now, this is a market intelligence question, because what we're looking to do, as I said before, is understand what's going to be happening into the market, into the future. Which sectors are doing well, which sectors are doing badly, which companies have a robust client base that are going to be able to weather this storm, and which may be a bit more affected. For instance, if you've got a client that's very heavily dependent on the hospitality industry, that's going to be really difficult, right? So someone like Booker's may well be struggling because they're not selling to restaurants. The flip side is everyone else, the supermarkets, are looking to buy more, and we know Booker's is part of Tesco. So that's what we want to be doing. So first question, how are you feeling? Second one, how is it impacting the contracts that you're on at the moment? The third question, how do you think your industry or business is going to come out of this? When we're working with perm candidates, we've got to think, remember, the psychology is slightly different. If we're speaking to a perm candidate that has started very recently, remember, most people believe in the premise, which is last in, first out. And so when you're speaking to perm candidates that have recently started jobs, say, for example, in the last 6 months, we want to ask them, firstly, how are you doing? Second question, how is these changes impacting your organization? How is it going to impact the security of your role? I know you started recently. And lastly, we're going to ask, how do you think your business will do in the long term? Who will be the winners and who will be the losers in the industry that you work in? Because they will have a view. Remember, at a very transactional level, they may not have that business insight. But looking at the people on the call here, I know you will be working with mid to senior level candidates that will have market and industry awareness. If we're working with perm candidates that have maybe been around in their roles a little bit longer, we want to take a bit more of a pragmatic approach. The first question is, and we know they're looking, we're just going to ring up and say, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. We're just letting you know not much is moving at the moment. This would be for the candidates that are active in roles as well. And again, we want to ask the question, how are you doing? How is the impact of this last few weeks going to impact the performance of the company that you work in? How do you think they'll fare? Remember, what we're doing is we're not going straight into, are you going to need a job? What we're doing is going, how is it going to impact your business? What do you think their strategies to succeed will be? And again, what we're doing is we're gaining market intelligence as well as understanding about the job security of candidates. The last question that you're going to ask the candidates that are on a perm basis is, how do you think it might impact the security of your role? And when we ask this, we've got to ask it in a very sensitive way, which is, I hope this question never comes to pass. But how do you think it will impact your role in the organization? A lot of this is about, remember, day to day, we've got to be thinking that we are generally really focused, right? Hi, are you interested in this job? Would you like to move to another opportunity? In today's market, we've got to be a lot softer. Remember, just us calling that candidate is about reminding them that we exist. We're playing for those candidates, giving us the first call should things go right. And last but not least, is I'd really like you to think about, how can you help those candidates? And every candidate call you finish, what you need to be doing is to say to them, right, here's how I can help you. If you feel your job's insecure, I can help you write a CV. I can tell you which companies are hiring in the market. I can let you know what salaries people are expecting in relation to skill set. I can give you interview preparation technique. Remember, the difference between recruiters, the recruit, sorry, someone just pinged me a message. So the recruiters are very, totally lost my train of thought there. So, but yeah, so we just want to be help. We're there to help. We're there to advise. The difference of an agency recruiter from an in-house recruiter is in-house recruiters aren't really interested in the candidate. What they're interested in is whether they're going to fill the vacancies that they've got. Agency recruiters have the opportunity to care for candidates and show why we have a different service proposition from everyone else in the market. So we're at 14 minutes. These are meant to be quick stand-ups. I hope you're all well. Please check out the Recruiting Gym. We're posting stuff every day around remote working and sharing best practice and process. It's free for those that want it. So go to recruitinggym.com, click sign up, put your email address in, or log in through LinkedIn, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the gym. See you soon. Take care. Bye.